What were some of the biggest challenges you faced when you were working in the industry?
Well, I'll stick to the service advisor side of the house. One of
Mhm.
the biggest struggles of being a service advisor is no matter how good you are at your job to your customer depends on how good everyone else is at their jobs. There's a lot of moving parts in there. I need parts, for example, to be on time. I need them to be ordered correctly. I need my technician, if he says he's going to look at a vehicle, he or she is going to look at a vehicle at this time. I need my processes and procedures and my technology to work so I can effectively communicate with my
Yeah.
customer.
Mhm.
Essentially my whole role is I'm a customer advocate and I'm the go-between. When I'm speaking to a technician, I'm the customer. And when I'm speaking to a customer, I'm the technician. And if there's misinformation from the technician to the customer, that created problems for me, and I'm the face of the company at this time,
Yeah.
which will skew survey scores, which is the other half of the problem. Is you're heavily weighed on the opinions of others, which you can improve or disimprove with your own customer service skills. But if a smudge mark is left, if a repair is late, if a car wash is damaged or anything like that, if anybody else messes up along the way, it's your survey that hangs in the balance, and that's ultimately why I think we see a lot of turnover for service advisors in the industry as well. That
Mhm.
would be one of the biggest challenges. And it's a management level thing because they're the ones that have to kind of hold this thing into a careful little ball and keep it balanced day to day. Is making sure all the moving parts mesh.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of technicians over here, parts is over here, service advisors over here, and we don't talk. I mean, we have enough division as far as department in the
Yeah.
dealership as it is,
Yeah.
but in the service department, we got to be so much more cohesive than the rest because we're really up against it with the volume of customers that we deal with, and what the problems are when we see them coming off the street, especially.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so important. All three departments, well, four or five, whatever departments is, they have to
Oh,
be
there's
working.
several. Yeah.
Yeah, they have to be working cohesively, and it goes
Hmm.
it goes right back again to leadership.
Yeah.
The service manager, the parts manager, the sales manager, all have to be working together. In the past, and I keep going back to the past. I'm pretty old. you will
It's all
you
good.
will you will you will turn up one day, and then you will hear that they'll be launching a new car, and you're saying, "What the hell is going on?" And then you look outside, you see this brand spanking new car in the lot, ready to be launched and marketed and everything. And there's no parts, there's no service training, there's no booklet, there's nothing, absolutely nothing, right? And this cannot be done without either the managing director, general manager, CEO, whatever you want to call him. That car wouldn't get there unless he signs off on it, right? And a sales manager won't be able to launch that car unless both of them communicate as to what is going on. But so
Yeah.
that was what used to happen in the past. And then you have this backlog of information, people running up and down. Oh, the car is ready to be launched. It is advertised and everything is ready to go out, but yet
Mhm.
still parts advisors, service advisors, and managers knows nothing about the car itself. Right. So therein lies the breakdown in terms of how,
Yeah.
a dealership itself is to be running all on their own. Right. So you touched on that. So I just wanted to add that part.
Yeah. Sure.
That was what was happening in the past. And then you had this, bad perception of, hey, they don't have any parts, the technicians are not servicing, they won't be able to do a lot of things with the car. And then you have this brand new car coming into the shop, sitting down like for weeks or for months, waiting on parts because nobody knows exactly what needs to be done.
Yes.
Happily, it has changed now, but slowly but surely, but it's not 100%, but we're actually getting there. So the let me move right along to say, but based on what you mentioned, and I've added, what were some of the strategies you use to, overcome some of the difficulties you face while trying to carry out your job?
Yeah, so strategies I've used is just being better at my own craft. I've found, and I've worked in service departments that were not very cohesive and very difficult to work in. And I've thrived in those environments just through pure customer service. I always, especially when I'm training new advisors, I always tell them that bad news is better than no news. As long as you're
Mhm.
communicating with that customer, no one else is really doing that right now as far as service advisors go for the vast majority. As long as you're just shooting a text message out, calling and saying, hey, I don't have anything on your vehicle yet, but I'm hoping it's going to be later this afternoon, maybe tomorrow. You should hear from me in that time frame. If you have any questions, just let me know. And that kind of keeps the customer at bay. And even if their repair took 3 or 4 days or even a week longer than it was supposed to, or the diagnostic took too long or whatever it was, the customer was still happy with me,
Yeah.
which made my job a whole lot easier. And if the customer's happy with me and upset with the service, they're still going to come back to the dealership because they have a relationship with somebody and they want to keep that flowing. You know, there's toxicity in the industry. We all know that. And a lot of people have distrust. Even though they had a hard time with my service department in the past, they had a good time with me, which made them keep coming back to me. And I had recurring business and good survey scores. And a lot of my pay plans are always based off of surveys. So customer service is the first and foremost. And then on a bigger scale, how I was producing change is I trained a lot of people. Not only do I educate through TikTok and I get DMs all the time and comments all the time on how to be a better service advisor, what to do in this situation. I'm trying to help people as much as I can in my own capacity. But when I train people, I try to instill these same values into them.
Yeah.
So that hopefully eventually that will bleed into the industry, and then we'll see an actual real change, because it can't just be on one person.
Yeah. And for people to be reaching out to you on social media, it simply means that help is needed in the industry.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of people,
Absolutely.
yeah, they're unsure of what their job role and thing is all about. And then it is this cry for, leadership, for direction, for support. It's a big thing that is happening now in the industry. I find it really appalling. But what would be some of your suggestions or recommendations to shops and dealerships based on what you just mentioned?
I would encourage, and most of my issues stem from things like this, I would encourage management to take a more leadership style role. A lot of times what we find, and if you ask people this question, who do you work for? They're going to name their manager. That's who they work for. If I, as a service advisor, said I work for manager such and such, okay, manager such and such works for Mr. Owner. In that scenario, who's working for the customer? Absolutely nobody. Instead, I would reverse that. The manager is a support role. The manager works for the service advisor so that the service advisor, where the rubber meets the road, can do his or her job. Yep. If the manager is working for me as a service advisor, I am now working for my customer base, which means the customer service aspect and the actual getting back to fixing cars is the other thing we need to do, can actually happen more fluently. So that would be step one, is just making sure our managers are acting more as leaders, and also just being more human as far as what we require of people in the automotive industry. We work a lot of hours. That's a lot. It's really hard for a lot of people. You gotta, in my experience, especially in the military, if you take care of the people, they'll take care of you. And if you take care of the people's families as an extension of that, they're going to take care of you that much more. And if you're taking away 60, 70, 80 hours of their life every single week for sometimes no reason at all, that's going to affect their own quality of life. If their quality of life is affected, the quality of work will also be affected. So those would be my two suggestions just as a start in the industry.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Because if you work with Toyota, especially from the Japanese standpoint, they will tell you the two main pillars they have is respect for people and continuous improvement, right? And respect for people in all aspects of life, getting them to have a better way of life. However, we have seen a shift with that throughout the years, because anything at all that happens in the economy, whether it's a natural disaster or a global financial meltdown or anything like that, the first industry that gets affected is the automotive industry. So, and they'll start slashing employees, slashing mechanics, slashing hours. So people are going to question, hey, I'm putting in 60, 70, 80 hours a week. Where's the loyalty? Right. And we have seen it happen so often. So it's a tough pill to swallow. And that is why you have to try to gain their trust. But at the same time, no, you have to sensitize a lot of people. Hey, we don't know what the future holds, because anything can take a turn. I mean, the pandemic just came upon us, right? And a lot of dealerships were struggling to keep numbers, but at the same time, no, people still wanted their car fixed. So what do? You have to be rotating mechanics, rotating the different employees, the service advisors, the managers, everyone to come in on a regular basis, because they can't help based on what the government instituted, right? Less crowding, social distancing, all these other things happening. So it's something that it's a juggling act, and it's really difficult to do something like that. But at the same time, because the employees are going to say, hey, we still have our lives to live, we have our bills to pay. So how do we get past that dynamic? And it goes into my next question, like what suggestions you'll have in terms of how should we prepare for a market that is constantly changing?
Processes and procedures and SOPs, standard operating procedures, are one of the best things that any company can do to handle change. I don't think that there's any employee out there that can't handle change or isn't ready for change, but leadership has to be absolutely in that process of that change. And if you already have processes and procedures and good training, all of your advisors, all of your parts people, all of your technicians are now on the same sheet of music, and they're executing their job day to day in this current format perfectly, they are prepared for that change. Where we see the problem is everybody's all over the place.
Yeah.
Like I said, nobody's trained. So service advisors are doing all their own thing. The technicians are just fed up, so they're doing their own thing. The parts people are on their phones doing their own thing. And then change happens. Well, we're not on the same page anyway. So it's irrelevant that there's a change. We can turn the page, but they're all scattered no matter what. So get everybody together, cohesive right now. And that's how you can prepare for the change for tomorrow. Because if everybody is perfect today, now perfect's not real, but everybody's as close to perfect as today as possible, they're more prepared to turn that page together as a solid unit and then start conducting business in whatever new format's required for the industry.
Yeah, the SOPs are indeed important, and that's why you have to have someone in place like a compliance officer who documents the processes, and then each and every manager has that process in their department to know exactly what contingencies can be used whenever a problem arises. Right. So it's a balancing act, and it goes. I'm a big advocate for the industry, as I know, but I tell people all the time, the box stops at the leadership. Who is the person at the top? What kind of experience is he coming with? Does he have a track record of making other dealerships successful in the past? Right. Yeah. Because he determines exactly the direction where your dealership is gonna be going, such as a shop, such as a regular, man on the street working on a garage itself. He all working in a garage. He also has to have some form of leadership qualities in terms of customer service, in terms of time management, in terms of getting certain things done. So people will constantly come back to that individual because he's also an advocate for the automotive industry. And based on what I've been reading and researching for the last couple of weeks and couple of months, it doesn't look good. Trust me. When you see
it's rough.
It's rough. When you see the Google reviews and the Yelp and the Quora and you go on Reddit and all these comments, they're not encouraging at all.